This is where they have the huge maiden festival, where the maidens are decorated heavily for the festival. And during this festival, they are often decorated with all sorts of combs in the past. The festival has largely been eroded by Western culture. It's not as vibrant as it used to be, but there are residues of it today. And what exists of it today is such that, from the revivalist point of view, a lot of parents are beginning to inject new ideas into making it function properly. But then there's an interesting comb here, which is amazing from the point of view of the fact that it was cast rather than cut from a sheet metal, like this one. This was actually must have been made in wax first of all, and then transferred into metal by the lost wax process, which is the basic means of casting objects.
Cire perdue, I think it's called.
Cire perdue, yeah. Yes. And then against this one, which is just cut out of sheet metal. Another interesting comb from Uzeba is the one made out of bamboo, I would say. What do you think?
I think it probably is bamboo.
I think it's bamboo. But the interesting thing is the intricateness of the weaving to hold it firmly together. I wonder if you can focus on this sufficiently well to be able to see it. You will probably need a macro lens. But this must have been decorative.
Is it possible anywhere in sort of traditional cultures that people might have had model hair combs made?
Model?
So ones that weren't kind of functional, but like we have the decorative ones that people put on the walls. Is it possible that people wanted an image of a hair comb? In the same way that in Ghana you get the adinkra?
Yeah, adinkra, yeah. It would have been possible. Yeah, I would think so. I can't tell, but I would think so, Rich folks would have wanted models made, and kept, depending on how wealthy they are. And these are wooden ones. This one has the image of a human being. And the interesting thing about this is that it has this reed rope for hanging it somewhere. It must have been used at some point. I wonder why it's woven here. Maybe to make it a little bit firm. But
I suppose it would strengthen the upper part
yeah,
of the knives.
yes,
exactly.
exactly.
They've got very long teeth, haven't they?
Because of the long teeth. But then we've seen combs like this in shorts as well. But it's interesting that human images were carved into the combs, and in this case used as handle. It's wonderful, the array of designs. No two of them are the same. Yeah, this is a dual. It serves dual purposes. This combs, and then this does the parting of the hair. Yeah. From Agbede. And Thomas says it's thin pointed handle. So it means that at that point in time he didn't realize that it also had a functional purpose.
It's interesting because in some of his photographs there are photographs of women
Plating.
Yeah, but obviously they just weren't using. Perhaps they're from a different region where they didn't use those.
Yeah,
combs.
maybe he didn't notice them.
No.
Maybe he doesn't notice the function of the point.
Yeah.
This point, because I found that in some of his labels, he didn't quite understand some of the things that were going on. Yes. some of their combs look pretty simple. One interesting thing to note is that the wood is basically the same from the visual assessment of them. They look quite different from what others have. But it's amazing how much designs are possible with the handles of combs. Just dealing with the handles alone. They just, people just think out these designs and then they put them up. And how much of all of that is being lost at the present time. So it means just nobody's thinking about it again.
Do you think that the impact of sort of religions from outside on traditional Nigerian religions do you think that's impacted on things like the designs on the handles of combs?
Oh, very much so. There's no doubt about it. The religions have impacted heavily on most of our traditional cultural stuff and materials. What happens is that once people become converted, they tend to pull away fully from, maybe not totally, but certainly they go into the closet. Oh, yeah, I was saying that in interviewing Lamidi Fakeye, the ace Nigerian carver, the late Lamidi Fakeye now, a few years, about 3 years back, he had told me, and I asked him if he was a Muslim, because of the clothes he wore, and then he said yes, he was a Muslim and a devout one at that, and that he prayed 5 times a day and all of what was necessary to be a Muslim. And I said, then why are you involved in doing figurative sculptures? And then he said to me, he quoted a part of the Quran, this I can find, and said it didn't exclude him from carving human images, as he put it. So he justified it very well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes. Now these are from Fuga. And again, a go there. It's quite close in proximity, and you can see similarities in the designs themselves that are made. It's the sheer variety of them that really amazes me here. And talking about whether people will be interested, I think this is also a point to make that definitely people will look at them and say they didn't know that these kinds of varieties of decorations were possible on the bodies of combs and everyday common object. And I bet that a lot of people did not notice all of these things for for a long time. So it's amazing that you are able to bring all of this out and let people see them. That's quite brilliant.
Do you think that these smaller hair combs here, do you think they were functional, or do you think maybe they were also just put in the hair?
I think so. Going by the wear and tear that appears to be possible here, they must have been functional. And the interesting thing is that they were burned at you can see that, they were burned at the base here. I wonder why is that. But normally when you buy a wooden comb, at least I did that in my time when I used them. When you buy a wooden comb, because it was usually sharp at the teeth, you got a lighter and burned the edges so that they will become dark and then able to go smoothly into your hair, rather than tearing up, at the teeth. So most functional combs you will find burnings around there. And someone told me in Ibadan at Christmas as well that they used broken bottles to sharpen them when they were new, before they started using them.
That's really fascinating.
It says Nibo.
Yeah, question mark.
Oh, Nibo is a place.
But do you think that's correct, or you don't?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. Nibo is the name of a town.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the eastern part of Nigeria, so it could be well correct. If it has Nibo there, then it's from Nibo. I think you should cross out southern Nigeria and say it's from Nibo, then it squarely places it within the Igbo.
Is that it has the case?
Yes.
Oh no, it doesn't actually, because it's in 16, so probably all right.
Okay. These are from Sabungida Ora. And interestingly, Sabungida Ora is just like 2 kilometers away from my very village.
Is it really?
But I'm not proud of the fact that I didn't grow up there, so I don't know very much about it. But it's interesting because I've been several times in Sabongidaura asking for, evidence of their arts and their craftsmanship and stuff like that. But I haven't been lucky to find a lot. What you find is just craftsmanship at the very base level, and more or less modern stuff. People make furniture and make clay work. There's a lot of clay work, pottery and stuff, but not a lot of carving. And one of the interesting things for me since coming here is that I've become familiar with the fact that there was a lot of artistic productions going on in metal, in wood, in bone carving and stuff like that are far, far unknown to people in that region today. It's amazing. I can't wait to go back there in December and say these are things from your place and then see people's reactions to them. I really wonder what they will say, especially when, some of them, I hope, can relate with it or can find relations between them and perhaps things that they have that they have not brought out.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah,
It'll be really exciting.
I really am looking forward to that.
This handle's really worn, isn't it? It looks.
Yeah, this is very well used, and I mean it's obvious. It's you can see the face. My initial interest was in human figures when I thought about the Thomas collection, but I've since gone into the decorations, the repertoire of designs that they have. It's amazing. How these things must have been, and the fact that they are going out now is so so sad that people are no longer thinking about it. They're making do with. Clay work, for example, is going out. Nobody uses clay pots again. It's a lot of china, a lot of aluminum that people use these days. Well, back to combs. These are combs from Sabongidaura. They're all in wood. Very decorative ones. It's interesting how just a few of them are incised, but most of them have their handles well carved in very interesting forms. This is a very interesting one. One would have thought it's modern, if you look at this. Now, here's what I was saying. Thomas is slightly carved handle. How does that apply to this slightly carved handle? I think that this is a solidly carved handle here, and I think the design is amazing to think that it has come from that time, as far back as when he collected it, not to talk of when it was made. It had been made a couple of years before he picked it up.
It looks very modern, doesn't it, the design?
Yeah, the design looks very modern. Very, very modern. I wouldn't have put it in. If I saw this out of context, I would say it's a recent thing. Yes. And so is this one. And it looks like the Ashanti stool to me. there's something that makes me think it's like the Ashanti.
It does, doesn't it? Which you find on other hair combs.
On other hair combs, yes, the Ashanti ones, yes. Was it you who gave me the article on the Ashanti combs?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I read that and it was from there I got this. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we could just go and look at them generally.